Welcome everybody to the Working Ranch Cowboys World Championship Ranch Rodeo. And this session here is the Legends Tribute. Man, I'm really excited about this. We have two very special people here. And you want to talk about people who represent ranching in such a great way. Terry Stewart Forrest of the Stewart Ranch and Martha Armitage of the A-Bar Ranch. These two ladies have been in ranching their entire lives, and we'll get into this, but what I think is so neat is we're in a day and age when women are really getting the appreciation that they deserve in ranching. It's cool. These two ladies came up in a time when maybe they weren't quite getting as much fanfare as they should have, but they are now, and we'll talk about that because I think it's neat, especially in this 30th anniversary of this event, for us to be able to recognize what these women do and talk about people that have done something from the saddle, in the background, in the office, cattle, horses, everything. Y'all have been involved in all of those things. And both of these ladies are very humble, so I'm going to have to probably prod them a little bit to talk more about themselves and what they've accomplished. But I don't think that I need a huge introduction for these ladies because I think a lot of you know who these women are, what they've accomplished. And the final thing that I think is really neat is that the parallels between these two ladies. Both have been raised in Oklahoma, ranch in Oklahoma. Both have a really rich ranching heritage within the state of Oklahoma. Goes back, both of y'all, over 100 years, your families have been ranching. Both of them have taken the reins of their ranches for a long period of time, but they also both amazingly have two sons that have come back to the ranch and are continuing the tradition there. So that's really, really cool. So I'll stop talking here in a minute and I'll just start asking questions. But I think really the most important thing or the most interesting thing for me to ask you two is just tell me a little bit about your own background. I think a lot of people might be familiar with the ranching history that each of y'all have, but I guess we'll start with you, Terry. Can you just talk a little bit about the history of your ranch?
Certainly. So we were founded in 1868 in Blue County, Indian Territory, which is in southeastern Oklahoma. And from there, that'd be great-great-grandparents, they farmed oats, cattle, pigs, all the kind of stuff you did back then. We have evolved to a property over in western Oklahoma in Jefferson and Stevens County, and we've diversified. We have tried to adapt to the times. We have done everything. We've run yearlings, we've bought cutter bulls, we've ran about 3,500 acres of wheat pasture for quite a while, and then it quit raining. And so we've had a lot of things that we've challenged us, and we've adapted and changed the way we operate. So now we have a horse program, we have a cow-calf operation predominantly. We run a large herd of Coriani cows. We did for a time a meat company, and I think that we have evolved into a situation with my two boys. So from 1868 all the way through, I think it's our legacy and our heritage that forms the foundation of our operation, and something that we're very, very proud to carry on.
Martha, how about y'all?
Well, I grew up in northeastern Oklahoma, but my great-great-grandparents were German immigrants, and they were in Illinois. My great-grandfather moved then to southeast Kansas as a child, and he, along with my great-uncle and my grandfather, created a cattle operation. And as soon then they moved. My grandfather, they broke that, or didn't break up, they split that operation over when my father was the son-in-law. He married into the family, and so we operated in Craig County, Oklahoma, and it was a yearling operation. And so it was all horses to operate with. We didn't have cattle trailers, we didn't have four-wheelers. So I grew up with a very much background of horses, but I wasn't the horse crazy girl. I just thought everybody had horses. But you jump forward, I go to college, and I have a associate's degree in radio and TV broadcasting, and decided that wasn't going to work because I was going to have to live in the city. So I moved on to OSU and decided I would be a extension agent, only not in ag, but home economics. Met Mike Armitage, and that changed everything. We ended up starting to ranch, and so today with my boys we have a cow-calf operation. We have a several breeding on our mares and stallions, and we just do a lot of different marketing with our cattle and our horses, and so we're just very blessed that I have my boys that want to be a part of that.
So what generation are you of ranching?
Fourth generation.
You're the fourth generation. And Terry? Fifth generation. Wow. So talk a little more, Martha, about your upbringing. And so you were raised on a yearling operation.
Yes.
So that is definitely a very horseback situation, a very much, I mean, were y'all out there roping, doctoring yearlings? And can you talk about what you were doing as a youngster?
Well, we were a lot of gathering. If my dad were here today and alive, he'd say there was no roping because we didn't ever do that. But we did everything through the cattle chute. But everything was moved by horseback. And so when we gathered 2-3 miles away, we started early to go gather them. And my dad, I know you already mentioned this, but women didn't have a place with my great-grandfather, my grandfather. Women were supposed to stay back home. Well, God played a funny trick on my dad. He had 3 daughters, and so he needed help. So there we were. And so everything from doctoring, we'd set on the yearlings when we'd get them off the truck and move them from pasture to pasture horseback, and but everything was doctored through a chute.
Now, do I understand right that you really didn't see yourself necessarily as a horse-crazy girl at that time? That was just part of life for you, pretty much. But then you said later on in life you got to the point where you knew you didn't want to follow the career path that you had studied for because that meant being in the city. So was there some turning point in your life when you're all of a sudden realizing that ranching and maybe horseback work was part of what you wanted to do?
Oh, it always was what I wanted to do. I just don't think that I realized that because I didn't, I wasn't going to get married. That was my first thing. And, but that was my life. I mean, and I think that's with my boys today. That's our heritage. That's all I know. And as Mike would always say, agriculture is the only culture we know. So it's just something that I think Terry can say this as well. We're very proud of that. And as women, it's very important because, as you and I were talking last night, when I was growing up, the women were, well, for me, I was out helping gather. Then I'd come in and cook lunch. The guys were sitting down taking a nap. But the women just, I think, kind of got overlooked in time.
For sure. I think that's important to talk about. And if you wouldn't mind maybe delving into that a little bit more, because just so we can see a picture of what this is about. You're out there riding with the guys, crack of dawn, all day long, and then you're cooking that night, you're cleaning house probably before everybody shows up. I mean, all the tasks that you had in your, on your list to do. What are all those things that you were doing, and can you describe those?
Well, as our operation grew, my office time grew as well. So a lot of times at night, I would go into the office and try to get caught up on things. And we also had a livestock marketing business. So there was a time that we were building catalogs, and then I have 2 boys to get them whatever they needed to get done for school. And as they got older, they were very involved in FFA. And so I tried to always be a part of all of that. And there were lots of phone calls, always answering the phone, trying to keep up with things for Mike and scheduling and such. And as time grew, my time horseback, it changed. I was more, my horse was the office chair. But we had a lot of people come and go to the house, and that was something that I've always enjoyed, is meeting all of those people. A few times I would get to go with Mike when he'd go look at a set of cattle to purchase and stuff, but mainly mine started being the office work.
Kind of, it seems like so often, you know, these ladies in the ranching industry, they're kind of the glue that kind of keeps everything going. I mean, you got the guys doing their thing and their horseback deal, but so many of y'all, it's really so commendable how you will kind of just jump in and do whatever is necessary, whether it's horseback, whether it's, you know, vaccinating, whether it's cooking, whatever. Terry, can you talk a little bit about specifically your upbringing and what your life was like as a ranch girl when you were younger?
Well, a lot like Martha, I mean, we grew up horseback, and my dad, basically it was a cow-calf operation at that point in time. So just all the things that we all do, but I was raised with a daddy who did not believe in, again, kind of like Martha, and a lot of y'all don't understand that today, but it was a whole different generation, and women were not probably welcomed as much on a crew, but it's okay. I mean, it was one of those things that I knew for a fact at that point in my life that there was nothing else I wanted to do, and so that was my passion, and that was what I chose to pursue. So I was a little bit hard-headed, and I ended up at Oklahoma State University and went through their animal science department, and my advisor said, well, there's two of you here, and best I can tell, you're here looking for a husband. And I said, nope, not me yet. But anyway, that was kind of the attitude we had to take. So it really wasn't okay to be as good as the men. You really had to be better. You had to earn their respect. You had to put forth all the efforts. So being in that class, I was always willing to do all the dirty work, and I still believe that to this day. I've never asked anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do myself, although I am firmly aware that there's a lot of it I can't do, and I surround myself with really good people. So, and I've been blessed to work with a lot of really good men who are here today at this rodeo. So that's been a blessing. But as I said, we kind of evolved to where we are today. My oldest son, Clay, runs Stewart Ranch Outfitters. We've had the opportunity to build a lodge to enhance our hunting experiences. My son, Robert, has run Bar S. Coriani Cows and Stewart Ranch Meat Company, and we have those kind of things, but it's still, I'd like to say this because the opportunity for women right now is absolutely incredible. But I do know some people have to go before, and there's a lot of women out here who've bridged that gap. I mean, you show up at a Brandon and you've already got dinner cooked before you get there. So it's not anything, that was just what was expected. It's not any big deal. You just learn to do it and you adapt. So I think times have changed. I've got a little funny story. So we have a chef at our lodge, and he was interviewing us to see if he even liked us. So Robert and Clay said, Mom, Bart's coming, do you want him to cook for Brandon? I said, heck no, we got to pay him. I can do it. I've done it all these years, no big deal. It's also breeding season for me. We breed about 60 head of mares a year, and that's my job as well. So anyway, Bart came and he fixed dinner 2 days, and I told Clay and Robert, I said, I'm done. This is awesome. So I've kicked myself out of that job, which is good. But I don't know if I've answered your question or not, but here we go.
I need to talk to you and talk to my boys about hiring a chef.
There you go.
And so for anyone that's come in late here, this is our annual Legends tribute with Terry Stewart Force and Martha Armitage. I also want to take a moment to thank Cactus Feeders for sponsoring this. But I have another question along these lines. Going again, talking about, you know, the changing times and the changing mentality towards women. And I'm going to go out on a limb maybe here, but it seems to me that, you know, y'all understood the culture, you understood the mentality, And like you said, Terry, you kind of had an uphill battle. You almost had to do better. But I almost sense that neither one of y'all have much resentment about that. And you just kind of
That's the
accept
way
it.
it was. I mean, it's not really anything. You just accept it and go on. Or why would you not do otherwise? If you've got to pursue a vision or a dream or a goal, my goal or my perspective on that is you just work hard and do it.
Martha, what was your attitude?
Oh, that's true. That's just time waste, and if you resent it. And I think that you get to looking, maybe we were more respected than what we realized. But I know that I have two daughter-in-laws now that, I mean, they're very much a part of it, and we couldn't do it without them. And I know that their husbands agree with that too. I don't think there's ever any disagreements or fights between them at all. They seem to get along really well.
I'm looking for them.
Yeah.
Where are they out? There's one of them.
I will say, though, I do know a generation back with my mother, it bothered her that because she was a ranch girl, and to be told that they didn't need her to be there when she might have been helping on a daily basis, but when it was gathering day, that probably there was some resentment there a time or two on her part.
Both of y'all have very respected horse programs, and both of y'all are very much involved in that as well. Would you mind, Martha, first talking about the A-Bar Ranch program and maybe how it started, however far back that was, and what y'all do with it now? And you don't have to go a lot of deep, but I just want to know, but I want people to understand what a great program y'all have going.
Well, I know for sure one of our first mares we bought was an 86 from Terry, from her family's sale. And I was pregnant with Merritt. And that next year, we kept kind of adding a few more mares and a few more mares. And that next year, we had a Christmas picture that I'd taken with our yearling Merritt in the feed trough with the yearling horses, and that kind of started it all. And we bought some mares. I don't remember what year it was, but we had a couple of good licks on some group of mares that we were able to buy. And Mike always said it was maybe a hobby out of control. It was not. It wasn't considered a hobby. That was just his joke. But when he graduated college in '74 from OSU, he went to work for the Leroy McGurk Hereford Ranch, and he would do heat detection on cows, and he realized what a good horse was and needed one. So that was kind of always his goal. And we never really talked about building a horse program. It was just one of those things that we just kept building upon. And so today we're very blessed. We have, I don't remember how many production sales now that we've had, but we just had one in October, and we sold about 48 weanling babies right off the mares.
48 weanlings, that's a lot. Wow.
And Mike also had a dream to have a futurity that would help get the horses in cowboys' hands. And so I'm not sure what year we started that. 18. I'm getting my help there, but
In 2018.
But it's been very successful. So on Friday we have the futurity, the ranch horse futurity, and the next day the sale, and they have to have a bar brand or be bred by us, and they have the opportunity to bring them back and put in the sale. But it's been very good. Mike was very good at I don't know how, but just looking to the future and making things happen like that. So.
Terry, let's talk about your horse program, and lots of accolades as far as world Rein Cow Horse Competition, AQHA World Show, Super Horse winners, and a program that goes back to, I think it started in the 1950s when your dad
Yes, sir.
got a
Yes,
horse.
sir.
Tell us about that.
1949.
1949.
He bought a horse from 3D Stock Farm, which was Wagner's horse division, and that kind of started the program to upgrade the mares they had on the ranch. They had always had always had horses, but not quarter horses. So Daddy began the project of upgrading the mares, bought some really nice mares. Today we have a generational broodmare band. All of our mares, the majority of all of our mares can be traced back to those original mares. And part of our legacy, again, as far as our family, is also with our mare band. And I have to be honest with you, I've been pretty proud of them. They've been my passion for the years, and they've done a good job for us, and I think we've just got a lot of really exciting things ahead in the future. There are different facets of our industry that are really taking off, and I think ABAR and a lot of other people out here are seeing some opportunities for what we raised as ranch horses to be competitive in a lot more events. That's a good thing for all of us because we all do everything horseback, so our horses can rise to the occasion, and I think that's a real plus for our industry.
I can't help but bring this up. Terry and I worked on an article earlier this year on pretty much the relevance of ranch horses and how they have become more relevant now than ever. And a lot of that has to do with, range cow horses gotten big, and so much what the range cow horse competition fits what a ranch would do on a horse anyway. The rise of ranch versatility has really been a boon for y'all as well, and really helped promote the ranch horse industry. And then even the rope horse, the team roping has just gone crazy, and I know so many ranches benefit from that. And before I ramble on too long, I'd love for you to kind of comment some more too, Terry, on the horse industry where it is now, and maybe how it's even a better fit now for ranch horses than it's ever been. Would that be accurate to say?
I think so. And one thing I'd like to bring up is the RHAA. I think that was an introduction to a lot of ranchers to be able to be competitive, to improve their horsemanship, to be a better horseman, not instead of just a ranch cowboy. And there's nothing wrong with that. Please do not misunderstand me. But I think all of us, when we improve our horsemanship, it makes us better cowboys. It makes us better at everything we do. So that was a big step for the Ranching Association. We were fortunate enough to get involved in the roping industry a long time ago before it has kind of changed the dynamics here. Back then, we just could not get the money raised for the futurities. That's all there was to it. But we were very involved in that. Then we realized how our horses fit the reined cow horse program. So we became very involved in that. And I know that the Browns are here, and Lanham and Miles have done exceptionally well. In fact, Miles won the futurity this year. But I mean, it has been an open door for a lot of ranches that have exceptional horse programs. And a lot of these ranches that are here today have those programs in place. So again, back to what I was saying, it gives us a place to exhibit them, that we aren't just ranch horses. We are capable of having horses that compete at the highest levels. And I think that for us, we've got a whole new door that's opening to us, and shoot, let's go through it.
Yeah. Martha, do you feel like what y'all raise, which is specific to the A-Bar Ranch, you raise something that needs to do a job, but do you feel like they're more marketable now than they were before, and why is that?
Definitely, I do, and we've tried to stay with modern genetics, and I credit Turner with trying to research and pay attention to that. I think that with the ranch horse competitions, that's brought it out. I don't know myself that can tell you where some of our horses are at. They would be better at that, but I think that the quality we have has definitely grown, and I know at this last sale I was pleased to see how many different states that the horses went to, and just wanting to get them in the right hands to see what they can do. That's why selling them as a weanling, that it's in that buyer's hand to see what they can do. We retain several of the fillies so we can ride and see, because it goes back to the mayor, I think, and to see what we've got. So there's lots of studying and research going on with my bunch to see what we've got and what direction to go to.
Last question on horses, and forgive me, I get excited about horse stuff, but last question about horses, and this is for either one of y'all or both of y'all, but, I remember coming here, 20-some years ago and watching the competition, whether it was the ranch horse competition or the ranch rodeo, and seeing what horses could do, which was amazing then. But now to compare that to where it is now, to me, is mind-blowing how much the horsemanship has just really improved, the quality of the horses has improved, and I'd love for either or both of y'all to talk about your own impressions, what you've seen in the past 20 years as far as the quality of horses and horsemanship.
So one thing we've always been really proud of is that we take our show horses to the pasture. If we need a job done, we pull the best horses out. This happens to be the ones we're taking to town. So I totally agree with that. I think all the pieces that were put into place years ago to develop horsemanship, to give guys incentive to develop their abilities, and the ranches being willing to participate, I think that's all allowed us to be better horsemen, all of us. And shoot, that's looking at the horses in the rodeos anymore. It's cool. I mean, there's some dadgum good horses out there.
You told me a story about years ago when you were competing in the Snaffle Bit Futurity and you had your 3-year-olds, and that happened to be a year when y'all were dealing with a lot more sickness than normal, and take it from there. I mean,
all right, Robert's here too someplace. So we had 3 mares to go to the Snaffle Bit Futurity when it was still in Reno several years ago. And we also were taking in cattle at that point in time for a customer of ours. And shoot, we had pink eye break like crazy that particular year. So all 3 of those mares got to have double duty, doctoring pink eyes and getting ready to go to the Snaffle Bit Futurity. Well, Robert's mare made the intermediate open finals that year, and I was reserve champion non-pro on mine. So, point being, they need to go to work.
So, moving on, we've talked so much about the past, we've talked about the present, we've talked about horses. Let's talk about ranching for a little bit and the future of ranching. And I really am curious to pick y'all's brain about where y'all are, the things that y'all are doing today in order to, I mean, obviously this is a great time as far as cattle prices. It's really impressive, and I think maybe both y'all's country's been getting a lot of rain, so it's been a blessed time for everyone. But overall, ranching it's always been a challenge. It's probably becoming a more and more challenge in many ways. What are some things that any rancher would need to do to make sure that they can continue to have a viable business? Would you want to answer that one first, Martha? Is that too tough of a question?
Pray. I'll just start there. I think that a very wise man once told me, we live in our part of Oklahoma has a tendency more to drought than anything else. So I think for us to have a drought plan in place is something that you have got to do. You've got to pay attention to your grass. And Shad Beebe and I were talking just a minute ago, and I said, I love the cows, totally love the cows, but I love the grasses more. Because if I can't manage that grass, I won't have those cows. So I think my number one job is to manage that grass. But I got a little bit of a problem over in Jefferson and Stevens County. We are surface water dependent. So that means I'll run out of water before I run out of grass in a drought. Been there, done that in 2011, probably one of the toughest years I have ever been through in my life. But I think you learn to plan for the what ifs. What if this happens? I mean, you just expect those things because it's going to be. We had 3,500 acres burned last year. It was a calving pasture for our spring cows. So then you have to learn to adapt. You have to have plans in place for those things that go south, and they will, to be able to compensate. I think a lot of things too is managing your cash flow. As we all know, that's one of the toughest things in our business because we only get paid a couple of times a year, and learning to manage through that is one of those things as far as ranching. And I also think that it's not always the fun stuff that you've got to do. You got to put your head down and do the stuff that probably isn't so much fun, and everybody out here has had that experience, and putting a cow down or putting a horse down and having things get hurt and things for us, not Craig Haythorne, but 20 degrees below zero and having to figure out how to chop ice. I mean, that was tough those 2 weeks. But you've got to be prepared, and you all know that, and I'm not telling you anything you don't, but it's a challenge. But my biggest thing for me to be responsible for it, because I've got a great team in place, and if everything goes good, it's all of us. But when things go south, it's me. And I'm the one responsible, and I'm the one accountable for it. So I do my dead level best not to have anything go too terrible far south.
Martha?
I agree with all of that, and then to be flexible, because the best laid plans, you've got to, and I think two things that my boys always say is think outside the box. So, and diversification, which I think we both do. So yeah, and we got a lot of rain this year, but we know that next year we don't know what it's going to be. So prayer is a big part of ranching.
Talk more about diversification. I think both of y'all have a very good example of diversifying and marketing your beef in a certain way, and managing or taking advantage of the resources that you have. People might not be aware of what y'all have going on in that regard.
When Mike and I got married, he had been a livestock publication selling ads. He also had a livestock publication, so he gotten to know a lot of people through cattle associations, and I don't know why, but we both kind of liked putting on auctions. So we did, and he worked for the Oklahoma Limousine Breeders. I hadn't been around that world at all. I'd never been to a purebred sale ever. So we started that as we built our ranch. We would manage some sales for different ranches. That's also how Mike would find different horses when he was out meeting different customers. So today we still market. We'll have a cow sale in the spring and in the fall, and then we'll have one in December. That's just our cow sale, and then we'll have our horse sale. So the livestock marketing business is part of it. We also, probably because of me, I like to do the catering, so we did some chuck wagon catering. I'm kind of getting started back on doing that again. At one time we had a wedding venue, and the boys, we had a Western swing band. Life has gotten busier for them, so they don't get to do that as much, but we just have a lot of different things, but probably marketing has been one of our big things that we do.
How about y'all, Terry? There's a lot to talk about, so.
Yeah, I kind of think I went through all that. Okay, one more time. No, I think, just kidding, but diversity is critical to an operation anymore, and the reason I believe that is you spread your risk, and that's so important. And so we calve spring and fall. We know, as I said, we no longer run yearlings, and we no longer have wheat pasture, which was an economic decision. The Coriani cows we got into primarily because of our country over in eastern Oklahoma. We'd run yearlings in the bottoms, we had run fall cows, we'd run spring cows, and nothing really seemed to work. So we needed a big goat, and the best big goat we could figure out was a Coriani cow. So that was the first reason we purchased them, was for range management. Robert also has a lot of connections in the roping industry, so we've been able to furnish roping cattle for a lot of the producers. We have a straight black herd, and we've worked really hard. We've done some DNA testing on them, and trying to learn more traits. There's no information available on Corriente cows. We're putting together some, and we'll see where that leads us. So with COVID, we had a lot of demand in our area for ground beef, as did a lot of other people. So we started grinding the Corriente, using the Corriente cattle as a whole beef, all steer ground beef. Marketed to our grocery stores, and we marketed it fairly locally. Well, that grew, and the next thing we know, we have a processor that opens up in Comanche, Oklahoma, just north of us, that is full service. They'll ship for us, they're federally inspected, state inspected. We could kill 25 head at a time, and that really changed the dynamic. So we used our Corriente beef cross cattle to satisfy that demand, and it worked really, really well till it didn't. And the processor closed his door one day, and we were out of a processor. So also at that time, cattle prices were through the roof, and our Corriente cross calves, with very little feed that winter, only one set, weaned them and put them on the truck, and they netted a pretty awesome paycheck. So economics drove that totally. If economics drive us to go back, we're all set up. We've done all the hard part. So we could start back relatively quickly. Obviously, we'd have to feed cattle again, but that still wouldn't be a big issue. So we like to keep all those tools in our pocket, so if we need to do something quickly, we can adjust, and we hope we always adjust before the things go the wrong way. Stewart Ranch Outfitters was created because we had oldest son Clay wanted to manage an outfitting program. I am a control freak, as anybody that knows me knows. So we wanted to have full control over the hunting. We have an outfitters. We had turned down a lot of hunts, and Clay worked for about 10 years to put together a plan to build our 14-room lodge. It has been a game changer for us. We will be working till the rest of our lives, I'm pretty sure, but it has been a game changer. He's 95, 96, 97% already booked for waterfowl. He's got a 7-year waiting list for deer. So we are developing waterfowl habitat every year. We put money back to do that, and we put money back into our operation. I'm happy to say Grass and Water really makes a difference on your weaned calf crop, and we had Grass and Water this year, probably weaned one of the best set of calves we have ever weaned, and it's really nice to put money in the bank for a change.
You know, another big issue for all ranchers, especially family-owned historic ranches, is the succession plan. And we mentioned just briefly that both these ladies have raised 2 sons that are on the ranch, involved, and I'd love to talk about that for quite a while. I know it's something that it's neat from a business standpoint, but from the standpoint of being a mother, a parent, and knowing your kids are picking up the mantle of what you built yourself for so long, and that your parents and grandparents built as well is very important. It's a neat thing, and we also know that not every child chooses to come back to the ranch, but I know y'all both feel very blessed and fortunate that they have come back. So Martha, will you first talk about your 2 boys, their involvement, and I think really it'd be interesting to know, how did you twist their arms and get them to stay hooked and come back to the ranch? That might be a good thing to discuss.
Well, they might tell you differently, but they didn't have to come back. And we told them they didn't have to go to college. They could do whatever they wanted. And fortunately, I think they have bred in them, like Mike and I as well, that ranching is what we wanted to do. I don't want to say it's all we know how to do, because we already know that it takes a lot more than you're just not just going out feeding and watering livestock. But so with their dad passing in March of 20, things really took on a whole new game for them. I mean, they were working for the ranch at the time, but all of a sudden it's put in their lap. And I'm so very thankful that they spent so much time with their dad. That was their added education besides college. to be with him on a daily basis. And they'd leave early in the morning and I wouldn't see him till that night. And I'm just now finding out some things that happened. When you asked about accidents, I heard about some things last night I'd never heard about, horse accidents. But they have just done an outstanding job, and I stand back amazed sometimes because they may not think they're young, but 38, 34, no, I'm wrong on the ages completely, 32, 33. See, you did the same thing.
Somewhere there.
You're not 23. But at their ages, and they both realize that they do have a lot on their shoulders. And I'm very proud of what they are doing as well with my daughter-in-laws, because they have taken it and run with it. And they have a lot of ideas for the future that I'm on board with. And I can sleep at night and know that Abar Ranch will continue for the next generation. I have 3 grandkids, and they are very much ranch kids. So the legacy continues on.
Would you mind introducing them if they don't mind standing up? Or
Okay, 23-year-old, that's Turner, and that's his wife Sarah, and that's Merritt and Michelle's little girl Mesa, and then Michelle and Merritt, and then Merritt's holding Parker. That's Turner and Sarah's little girl. And I'm so blessed that they are all, well, Turner and Sarah live on the ranch with me, and then Merritt and Michelle are just about 3 miles as a crow flies from me.
when they were young or when they were teenagers, did you know that they'd come back, or was it uncertain?
Maybe I was hopeful. I think so. I know that Turner has said sometimes he wishes that he might have gone to work for somebody else at times, but they had it kind of tough. I mean, really, their dad expected a lot of them, and they stood the test. As little boys, they were horseback, and just like Miles, he's 9 now, and he's eat up with it. He's with his dad all the time, and working and helping horseback. So,
Terry, you've got 2 boys. Is Robert and Clay, are they both here?
Robert's here.
Robert's here. Is Robert in the crowd somewhere? There he is, way in the back with his arm up.
He's hiding.
He's hiding.
So I lost my dad in 2001, I think. Anyway, he kind of had thrown me to the wolves to begin with, and that's okay. So the boys and I, they lost their dad really young in age, so it's been just the 3 of us. And truthfully, I was pretty sure they didn't want to come home. But they both did, and that's kind of a joke, but it's, I'm not too sure I didn't put a lot of pressure on them to come home, to be perfectly honest with you. I really needed them, and that was a blessing, truly a blessing, because it's been nothing short of a great team, and they totally understand what it is that we have, the legacy, the tradition, the heritage that we have. They get it. And so now we've got 5 grandkids, 4 boys and a girl, and they're all like Martha's kids, all raised on the ranch. We're all together. I'm really, really big on family, as probably everybody in this room is, and it means the world to me. And our faith and our family are the 2 most important things in my life. And I cannot tell you a bigger blessing that I've had is that my family came home. And one thing Clay and Robert and I have put as one of our mission statements was to make it available for the grandkids to have a place to come home should they want to, because it's not going to be forced on them. But should they choose to come home, there's a place for them. And by golly, we did it. So I'm going to let the next generation kind of plow on to the future. So excited. I mean, we got so many things going and Someone told me, said, "Are you going to slow down?" I'm pretty sure I'm not, but the bank won't let me.
Last question. I know you're going to maybe bristle at this, but I view, and I know so many people do view y'all as role models, especially for these young ladies that are here. Y'all are, and whether you will receive that or not, doesn't matter. But in just thinking about that, if you were to talk to a young lady today, you know, what advice would you have, Terry? What advice would you have for that person, Martha? Whoever wants to go first.
Keep an open mind. Don't put yourself in a box, and but be honest. But the biggest thing is everybody that you meet, remember that they might have a connection. The networking is so important. It's just like here, I see so many people. I see a lot of young kids, and they remember who I am. I might have a hard time trying to remember, but I know that I have made an influence some way. We have an internship, I think, that I've told you about, that we started in 2014, and I know there's 2 or 3 of the interns here in here this evening or this afternoon, and it's exciting. That was one of Mike's ideas to help grow future cattlemen, ranchers, perhaps employees. And so while I don't feel like a role model, I do think that it makes a difference. When those young people come to our place, I may just be in the office or I may be cooking for them. They come back and tell me later things that they watched me do. And so I guess it's a good thing. But it's hard to think. I don't think I'm old enough to be a role model.
But I think each and every one of us is put in a position where we can have some impact, and y'all for sure. Terry, what advice would you give?
Well, I got a lot. Work hard, persevere, don't quit, have a dream and follow it. There's so many doors just flinging open for women today, and be the first one through. Be the first one there, the last one to leave. Do the hard jobs. Do the jobs nobody else wants to do. And I don't think that's stressed enough today. And be a person of integrity. I mean, I've made a lot of contracts when I shook somebody's hand, and that's the way it's going to be. So be that person. Be that person. You can look somebody in the eye, shake their hand, and your word's going to stand no matter what. It's incredible to me, the opportunities. I mean, when the ranch rodeos first started, there might be 1 or 2 women on the teams. Now there's a whole Women's Ranch Rodeo Association. How cool is that? I mean, really, I'm just too old to participate. But anyway, the breakaway, the roping, all the things that have come down the pike in agricultural opportunities. This is the best industry in the whole world. We provide the best tasting, the best nutritious source of protein for the whole world, and I think we ought to shout it from the raftertops, and I think everybody here has that responsibility to do it. So if I can ever inspire or help somebody by what I've been able to do, I'm all in. Scott, I think, told about Martha that all her interns run to her, so excited to see her. The ones I've had run away.
That is not true.
Oh, yeah. Right, Peyton?
Terry, weren't you our first Oklahoma Cattlemen's president, the first lady?
Yeah, I was, but that was a long time ago.
But that's opening doors.
That is opening doors, yeah. We really appreciate it. I think I can speak for everyone here. We really appreciate what y'all have done. We appreciate you being here. Can we get a round of applause for Terry and Martha? Thank y'all for sharing what you did. Also, again, want to thank Cactus Feeders for sponsoring this. This Legends Tribute has been, I think, a really special one with these 2 ladies. So y'all have a good evening. Enjoy the rodeo tonight.